So one of the things that in participating in an event like the Ironman is it's not just physical, right? The amount of mental strength that you have to build up, the mental endurance is as important. And I'd like you to talk about it. And before you talk about it, I want to give the community a couple of examples that I know we had spoken about. I remember right after I think it was the first one, which was in Germany,
Yes.
right, where uh, two things that happened. One is your bike got misplaced by the airline, right, if I remember correctly. And the second thing I remember was, I think you lost your way along the way, and you had to like get back on track. These are types of things that are not a physical issue. They just mess with the mind because you trained with on that bike, and now suddenly it doesn't show up before such a critical event. How do you deal? How should one deal with this type of disturbance to the mental side of things?
Well, my friends actually laughed at me and said that these filmy things can only happen only to you. Our bikes and we reached perfectly fine. We wonder why these filmy things happen to you. But I blame the airline because they didn't just lose my bike; they lost. So when you train for a Ironman, you train in the gear that you're going to be using for race day. So basically, you don't even your swimwear, even your running shoes. So everything is packed into your bike bag. So you travel light.
Mm.
So everything was lost because it was all in that bike bag. So even my wetsuit, my dry suit, because you can like start getting shaping, which is the most uncomfortable thing ever. So mentally, I said that obviously this is something that I hadn't prepared for. You can't prepare for anything like this, and I feel endurance sport does that to you because it doesn't. You can't really be prepared for any kind of adversity, and it's going to happen whether you like it or not. Unfortunately for me, it happened even before the race started. I was prepared for it to happen when I was in the race, not before the race started. But I think this is what the incredible thing about endurance sport is that it just mentally makes you a very, very strong person. So it doesn't just help you deal with what is happening. And for the reason I do endurance sport is to keep me mentally sane. It's not so much the physical targets or it's not the medals for me. It's how my mind is becoming when I'm training for the race. So the race is actually just celebration of all the training you've put in. So I feel it's just 6 months of this constant training leading up to that 15th of September when it was my race. I feel I just become, so strong through the process where you just kind of deal with what comes your way. So when this whole thing happened, obviously I was very irritated and I was saying that, how can they lose? And I was doing all the normal human things. But at the back of my mind, I said, yeah, okay, so this is what it is. And now you deal with it because this is what it is. So I had already got a bunch of I was using a Scott bike. So I spoke to Scott guys. I made sure that I get the similar bike because the same bike wasn't available. I already spoke to friends saying that if I have to buy a new wetsuit, dry suit, there was nothing in Berlin. That shop was shut. It was, I don't know, some festival going on then. So I said I'll take a flight and go to France. I'd already looked up for my flights. So I feel endurance sport starts teaching you to learn to find the solutions and not get so stuck up in the problem. And then, of course, when the race happened, there were two loops in the 90K cycle, and I I didn't take the turn for the second loop, and the volunteers directed me towards the finish line, and there were 20 odd athletes who were disqualified. Thankfully, I didn't cross that timing chip, so I again had the presence of mind saying that I didn't cross it. So they said, ma'am, you can go find the route. If you find it, you can try and finish the race, but we can't promise you. So I was livid with myself at that point, saying, this is just the silliest thing I've done. But again, you start because you're just spending 8 hours with yourself. You need to find the good and the bad. There's that little parrot on both your shoulders saying that, see the good in this, and that bad parrot is saying there's nothing good in it. So you're constantly fighting your mind. That's what endurance sport is about which part of your mind wins. And thankfully for me, you start finding the good because there's no other way out. You're in the middle of this forest, you have to finish your 90 kilometers. So there is no other way out. And that's what endurance sports teaches me.
Wow.